That's what you got at that point. One of my favorite sayings is not everything that glitters is gold. Especially as a beginner, you can get very caught up on, you find something that you've been looking for, and then you put all this effort into it, you start to neglect everything else, you get into this big slump, and beginners just go into that cycle over and over and over because they think that the second they get that contract, this is everything they've been looking for. And then they end up just not being successful on it. They can't get it moved, or whatever the issues that might come from it, they are just there. They're not going to go away. All right, people have a few minutes to join. So, starting off talking about Dispo. The first thing is, I'm assuming most of you guys are probably like one-man shows, but this is also going to be like, REI Rev has a very high rate of producing teams. There's teams that come out here. So you guys are going to be building teams in the near future. So we're looking at your time cost as an owner-operator. What are we putting it into? Where are we putting our time? What are we doing? So as you're starting your business, you build it from front to back. You start by putting your time in on the marketing, then you build your sales, then you build your dispo. That's the last thing you truly go and build because it's the last thing that you get. You're going to have more leads than you're ever going to have contracts. So you build it from front to back. But then as you start to optimize, you think, where is my time cost at? First, it's going to be in your marketing. You're doing all this cold calling. So you hire out your marketing. You either hire cold callers, you get an agency to run ads for you, whatever that looks like, you hire that out. Now you're pretty much a dedicated salesperson. The leads are coming in. You're still a one-man show at this point, but you're dealing with these leads. You're converting them to contracts. Now, eventually it gets to a point where you are doing a lot of the sales. You need to hire more salespeople in, and you're going to eventually move more into the dispo role. And now the biggest mistake people make early on is they put a cheap cost of labor person on dispo. They hire a dispo VA. They just get some random person to go do it. And that will be the biggest detriment to your business. Because at the end of the day, right, there's this really big push in the space. And I was a culprit of creating this idea in the space that the closers are in the acquisitions. No, not at all. The true closers are in dispo. At the end of the day, if you have a really successful acquisitions call, you're getting 5 cents of ink on paper. That's it. At the end of a dispo call, you're getting a $5,000 non-refundable earnest money deposit put into title. That's a much harder sell. And then you're asking this person to commit tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars on renovation costs, the acquisition costs, holding costs. Like, you can go and buy a supercar, or you can buy this house. What are you going to do? So that's what you're trying to convince this person of. So that is, that's the frame of mind that you have to come into this with, is as you're building your team and you're figuring out how you're replacing yourself, the person you put into dispo is going to make or break the business. So that's one of the first things we want to cover is get an excellent closer on dispo. And if you have none, then it should be you, because realistically, as you're beginning, you're gonna be the most skillful person on your team. Put your time and effort into dispo, because you've done all this work doing the marketing. You've paid for the marketing, all the time, effort going into sales. There's hard costs associated with time. And if you're running, a CRM system, there's going to be costs associated with that CRM. There's going to be costs associated with the SMS you're doing, all your call time. There's hard costs associated with it. So now you've put all this money, time, effort into getting this deal under contract. We need to sell it. Don't skimp on the dispo. This is where things are going to make you money, or you're not going to make money. So now that we understand we're going to have a high quality, very excellent closer on dispo, how do we actually market the deal effectively to make sure buyers are interested in it? So the first phase that in any solid dispo process that you have, it's the pre-marketing. What are you doing before you're putting this deal live? First and foremost, it's simple. Get excellent pictures. Now on InvestLift, where we're selling anywhere from 6,000 to 7,000 deals a month, we can run incredibly high accuracy data analytics on what is very sellable and what is not sellable. The difference between having very high quality photos, professionally done photos on a deal, and having shitty seller submitted photos that they just took with their iPhone is astronomical. You're talking a difference of $10,000 plus per deal. So getting excellent photos is massive. There's a company that I recommend because they're just everywhere. They do a really good job, and they doctor the photos for you and everything. Put that link in the description right there. Home Jab right there. Phenomenal. And so one thing that you should not be afraid of is you've got this deal in a contract, put some money into it. Don't just hope that if you put this deal out into the wilderness, it's going to sell. Put the money into it. Now, it's going to cost money to get these photos done. Absolutely. Spend the money. Spend the money. It's always, always, always going to be worth it. So that's what you're going to do. Go and get high quality photos. Now, my recommendation is at minimum 30 pictures. And then I also really, really recommend getting a video walkthrough. And then I'd also really, really recommend getting a Matterport. You guys who don't know what a Matterport is, a Matterport, it's where they go and do a 3D scan of the property and you can just virtually walk through it. That is something that will be massively beneficial because when you're thinking of the buyer mindset and what they're looking for is they want as much information as possible so they can make informed, effective decisions. When you have shitty photos that don't really tell the story of the property and highlight what's good, what's bad about it, where the areas of effort are to be put in, that buyer is just not going to get interested because they're looking at a lot of deals. They're professional buyers. This is what they do all day long. They know what they like. They know what they don't like. Give them every opportunity to see what they like and don't like so they can either disqualify from the property and you're not going to waste your time. You're not going to waste their time. Or they're now going to know this is something that I want. You know, actually something that I also skipped over a little bit here is before you're getting a contract locked up, the best hot dog salesman is one who sells to a hungry crowd. If you're sitting outside of a bar at 3 a.m. and everybody's coming out and they're drunk, they're hungry, they're having a great time, and you have a hot dog stand right there, you're going to sell out. But if you're going to be on the middle of a, let's say you set your hot dog stand up in like Cracktown, it's sketchy street in the city, nobody's going to buy a hot dog. Even if you have the best hot dog in the entire world, nobody's going to come buy it because your location's shit. So the other thing with your deals is make sure you're locking deals up where buyer activity actually exists. The biggest killer of real estate business is doing, or of a wholesale business, is doing deals in rural markets. Now, this is one of those ideas I was saying before where not everything that glitters is gold. If your deal is in the middle of fucking nowhere and, there's probably 5 buyers in a 30-mile radius and they haven't bought for a decade, you're not going to be able to sell that deal. There's no crowd for you to sell to. Now, the two main objections that people have about doing deals in big markets is A, it's going to be harder to find a deal. Yeah, it will. And then B, it's going to be more expensive to market there. Yes, it will. But the thing is, you can't get caught up in the details of it's going to be harder to find a deal. It's going to be more expensive to find a deal because at the end of the day, if you can sell a deal for 5 times more and sell it much more readily, let's say an 80% success rate as opposed to a 20% success rate, those costs completely liquidate. And now you're going to be significantly more cash flow positive at the end. So, I guess the math to think of right here is if it costs me $10 a lead in the middle of nowhere and it's going to take me 100 leads to get a deal, all right, so it's going to be $1,000 to get this deal, but I only sell it, 20% of the time. So that means I'm going to need, at least 5 deals to reliably get my $10,000. That means my average profit my average revenue per contract is just $2,000 because you got to divide it by all your failed deals too. Versus if we're going to be in a market where it costs 10 times that cost per lead, so it's going to be $100 cost per lead, and it takes me 10 of them to get a contract. All right, cool. It's going to be $1,000 cost per contract as well, but I have an 80% success rate selling it. You're going to have a much better time. And the thing is, buyers pay more in markets where they want to buy. Buyers pay more in markets that they want to buy. That's simple right there. So the first deal killer is going to be if your deal is in the middle of nowhere. Nobody wants a deal in the middle of nowhere. If you have deals in the middle of nowhere, disqualify them. Don't waste your time on them. Get them out of the business. They're just going to bog you down. They might be a learning experience where you can learn some lessons, but this is me trying to impart these lessons learned onto you right now. Just don't waste your time in those markets. Go to target markets. Be where the buyers are at. Be where there's high population. Be where there's significant investor growth. That's where you want to be at. Spend the extra money. Spend the extra effort to get there. That will, it seems counterintuitive in terms of like it's going to take me longer to get a deal. You're going to get a deal much faster and get money much faster. So now that we're doing the pre-marketing, exactly. Yep. So target bigger cities. Exactly. So now we know we're targeting bigger cities. We're going to be having an excellent closer on it. We're going to go and get excellent pictures of the property. Now, in marketing the deal, right, we're ready to market. We've got excellent photos. We've got our video walkthrough. Now, the other thing is in any marketing, it's going to go on some platform where buyers exist. This can be Facebook groups. This can be your own personal email list. This could be REI Rev. This could be whatever it is where buyers are. How do you get them engaged and interested in the deal? This is going to be where your copywriting comes into play. Copywriting is the art of writing words that sell. A phenomenal copywriter is the difference between an excellent product selling and an excellent product not selling. Now, just yesterday, in that example I was talking about where we sold a deal that hadn't been able to be sold for weeks in 30 minutes was because A, we went and got excellent photos on it, and B, we put really excellent copywriting into it. So in any platform you're putting in, the first thing that anybody looking at it is going to see is the headline. That is where you're having your initial hook. That first hook is going to be super valuable. Think of it like this. There's a concept in marketing that 80% of your spend is going to be put towards your headline, because people just skim. They don't read the entire thing. They don't read whole articles. They just read the headlines. So when you're looking at the greatest marketing business in the entire world, Apple.com, they don't sell computers. They sell MacBooks. They don't sell phones. They sell iPhones. So I'm going to share my screen here. Take a look at how Apple does their marketing. Everything in it, if we click learn more on this, check it out. It is headline driven. Lean, mean M3 machine, MacBook Air, M3 chips, built for Apple Intelligence. Designed to go places. You see this? Super, super light and under half an inch thin. Headlines all the time. 2 perfectly portable sizes. 4 stellar colors. I know everything I need to know to make a purchase decision based on just these headlines. A chipload of power. It's ready for whatever you throw at it. More speed and fluidity. Built for Apple. So again, they're reaffirming this is going to be the same thing for every single one of their products. So when you, at the end of the day, this deal that you have under contract, this is your product. Your business is getting contracts to sell. The leads aren't your product. The contract is your product. Make it as sexy as possible. Sell it for the highest price. So that headline, what you want to do is figure out, why is this deal sexy to investors? Are they walking into equity? Is it a really easy rehab? Is it going to be a really high projected ARV? Is it going to be cash flowing the second that they get to it? Is it a creative finance deal? What about this deal is going to be sexy to an interested buyer? And that's what you want to put inside the headline. The other things are going to be, it's like, well, you know, in as short of words as possible. By the way, another concept is that imagine that when you're writing copy, every word takes $1 out of your bank account and you start with $100. You want to have the highest balance left in your bank account as possible. So you want to use the least amount of words possible. So think of it like this. If I were to tell you that, do you want to go fishing with me, right? I'm trying to sell you on going fishing with me. I can come in, my headline might say, you have the opportunity to go fishing with Liam Benson, where we're going to go and have an excellent day. We're going to go out on this boat and we're going to throw the lines in the water. We might catch something. It's going to be great. See how many words that was? You're not interested. Goodbye. Or I can say, come fishing for free with me today. That's much more enticing. Cool, a free day fishing. Now, it's maybe not a great offer, but more people are going to be interested. That offer is resolute. That hooks people into now reading more. That's what you want your headline to do. It gets people to read more. Now is going to be the description of it. Now that you've got somebody hooked in, what you want to do is reaffirm the hook. So this is going to be your subheadline. That second subheadline is pretty much going to be restating exactly why they're interested based on the headline. Again, just hook, hook again. 2 hooks. Then what you do is, in as short as possible, you have a very simple sales letter, maybe add in some comps, make it digestible, easy to read, the details about the property and which, you know, might make them interested. You know, it's going to be a 3-bed, 2-bath, gentle fixer-upper. This is just a lipstick flip. Whatever that is, keep it as simple as possible. You can add in some nearby comps as to why it supports that this is going to be a profitable deal for them. Keep it simple like that. So, excellent pictures, excellent headline, excellent subheadline, excellent description. And then at the end of your marketing is a clear, concise call to action. This is the most important thing of it. Now that people have gone through and read this and they know they're interested in it and they want to go and learn more, what do? You get them to do an action, whether that's going to be putting their email inside of the comment, whether that's going to be text me or call me. No matter what it is, you want to highlight how you want people to reach out to you and make it clear and concise. That way people have no confusion on how they should be reaching out to you about this deal. You make it as easy as possible for them to take those next steps. Now, the ideal, in my opinion, is to get them on the phone with you. You always want to get them on the phone. You know, a big thing that I think people fuck up very often is this is going to be on acquisitions too, is they try and do so much over text. You can't sell somebody over text. You want to get them emotionally involved. This is where you're putting your skill set into play. If you want to be an excellent salesman, you need to have the opportunity to sell, which means getting them on the phone, having a conversation with them. That's where the money is going to be made, because now you can get them emotionally involved. You can figure out what their pain points are. You can build a real relationship with them. And that's where you can get this thing sold. To me, the best call to action is to text or call me. And then from there, when they text me, I'm really not going to be having any conversation with them over text. I'm calling them and getting on the phone with them. That's what I want to be doing. So to recap what we've done so far. First, do deals in markets where buyers exist. Don't fuck around with rural markets. A deal that's in the middle of nowhere is not actually a deal. It is just something to waste your attention. Second, you want to have your best closers on Dispo. And when you're thinking about this, acquisitions, it's called B2C, business to consumer. Now, Dispo, that is B2B, business to business. B2B is inherently a harder close. It's something that takes much more of a shark, because these people are educated, they're diligent, they know what they want, they know how to operate a business. So if you are faulty on that, or if you have a low cost of labor person on there that doesn't speak English very well, isn't very confident, they're not going to be able to sell that deal with a high rate of success. So what you got to think about here is, do I want to have a beautiful sales page where people are always going to be very interested in my deal? Or do I just kind of want to hope and pray to the gods that this will get sold? And I'm telling you, you don't want to hope and pray to the gods that the deal is going to get sold. You want to ensure that this thing is going to get sold. Now, again, there's going to be upfront costs with it. It costs money to get the photos. It costs money to negotiate access to the property. These are things that are hard costs associated with the business. If that's not something you can afford and you're just beginning in the business, the best thing you can probably do is find a reliable JV partner. Because here's another curve that you have to think of in the business in terms of success is when you're building it and you only have so much time. You first put all your time into marketing. What ends up happening is they get their first deal under contract, then they move to trying to dispo it, and then their effort goes elsewhere. And then their marketing dives down, and then 30 days later, they realize I have no leads in the pipeline, I have no opportunities, I'm fucked. That's what ends up happening. So as a beginner and you're scaling and you're learning how to properly manage your time, I would just recommend that once you have a deal under contract, have a reliable JV partner who runs an excellent process and you can trust, and also make sure you protect yourself. Never do anything based on word. Go and get contracts signed. Get a real JV agreement signed. Now that we have those set in place, have them go deal with the JV, have them go deal with the Dispo. That way on my end, I will go and continue to run my marketing and sales process. And that way I can continue to get contracts fed. I can start to hire out my time costs. So that way the marketing is now automatic. There's going to be people doing the dials. There's going to be leads coming in. And now I can focus on sales and I have time for Dispo now. So that's another thing as well. So we're going to have an excellent Dispo closer. We're going to make sure we're doing deals inside of excellent markets. We're going to go and get excellent pictures of the property, a video walkthrough, and ideally a Matterport. Then as we're marketing, we're going to write an excellent headline, an excellent subheadline. The description is going to be fantastic. Now, the name of the game is, now that we have this product, how do we get it in the eyes of as many people as possible? Well, there's tools that exist in the space. The name in the game right now is InvestorLift. It's what any legit wholesaler uses to sell their deals. More deals are sold on there every month than every hedge fund buys combined, multiplied by 4, but it's expensive. So keep that in mind. It's not suitable for beginners. So what you're going to be doing is just trying to find as many eyeballs as possible. Whatever market you're in, you can go and find Facebook groups. You can go and find, you can go and just skip trace a list of buyers and you can just go and cold call them. There's a lot of things you're going to have to do, but it's just going to be a lot of effort. But know that you're putting the effort in because at the end of the day, you have your product now. You've went and developed it. You've created it. This is where it's worth it to put in that extra effort to do it right. So an email list, building that is always going to be a fantastic one. REI Revolution, of course, that's going to be a fantastic place to be putting deals. I know REI Rev is putting together a marketplace. Kale says, Liam, brother, you in Kierland? I am in Kierland. Yep. Wait, can you guys not hear me? No. Harper said audio. Hugo said, InvestorLift. And I know that John actually has a link for it as well. InvestorLift is goated, absolutely. So, oh boy. Kale said, let's link. Absolutely, man. Yeah, just send me a friend request. So, We have a lot of people joining in right now. So I'll give the recap. Deal speed, anything in this one, it's all stolen data that's deprecated, old, and non-SMS. None of the buyers have opted in. There's no traffic actually going to it. What you got to think about is as we're marketing a deal, it's a function of how many actual investors see the deal. That's all it is at the end of the day. The more actual investors that see the deal, the more you're going to get activity on it. It's just that simple. The problem with deal speed is that it's a collection of a whole bunch of stolen data. And I know because I helped build iSpeed Elite, I know that where they got the data from was not legit. And buyers aren't actually activating on that platform. So in order to be able to efficiently and effectively market to people, it has to be a place where they want to go. So that's what I would say. How do I get buyers' emails to build a list? You can go and skip trace them off of like PropStream. I'm sure that John has a recommended skip tracing provider. There's all different ways you can get them. But what you have to understand inside of this too is now we have to create an outbound machine to start reaching out to them. Because now that we have them, we don't know if they're active. We don't know if they're really buying. We don't know what they're buying. We don't know any of these things. So it's just like in cold calling on acquisitions. We're going to have to, now that we have this list, we have to start actively going out and pushing it. And the other thing too is, make sure that you're properly tagging and tracking your data. So as you're going through and interacting with these buyers, you know what markets they're interested in, what type of deals they're interested in, if they're active, if they're inactive. You got to have your people that as VIPs. You have to have them segregated out and separated into a specific area where we can market to them specifically. There is an entire machine you have to build on top of that to be effective. Now, it's something that's worked tried and true, but just put the effort in. You can never fail by putting too much effort in, is kind of what I'm getting at there. But with everybody joining, I guess just to give one more quick recap to what we've covered so far for Dispo. It's first and foremost, before we've ever started marketing a deal, the person doing the deal, doing the Dispo, is incredibly important. Do not use cheap cost of labor people. Have a high skill set, active Dispo manager who's really good at closing. That's number one. Number two, don't do deals in rural markets. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your effort. Do deals in markets where buyers are active. Number three, don't use shitty seller-submitted photos. Go and get excellent photos on the property. Get a video walkthrough of the property. Go and get a Matterport, a 3D scan of the property. Now that we have that, write a really catching headline, something that hooks that buyer in. Have a very excellent sub-headline that hooks the buyer in further. Have the sales letter for that deal, then entice them enough to have the call to action, which is to reach out to you, call you, text you, whatever that is, get them on the phone. So now that we've done that, we're going to go and put our deal out in all the marketplaces that we can find. And if you've done this properly, now people are going to be reaching out to you. So now that we have contacts reaching out to us, how do we manage this? Well, the ideal is that we get an offer made sight unseen. We get somebody just to put an offer in for us. That isn't always going to happen. So the process I'm going to teach you now is going to be assuming that doesn't happen. So one thing that you really don't want to do, this link should work for people. No, that was for our Dispo day that we ran. Hang on. Let me grab you the link really quick. Mr. John. One moment, John. That's the link right there. So where was I? Yeah. So now that we have the buyers on the phone, what the process looks like is it's a sales call just like any other. The first thing we're going to be doing, it's the framework, it's closer, right? Or closed. It's a framework that I run. C, clarify why they're there. L, label their pain. O, overview the past pain. S, sell them the vacation. E, explain away their concerns. D, determine their future path. There's a really good YouTube video on that specific framework by Alex Hermosi. But that's the framework you want to be running in really any sales thing. Like I've ran that sales for acquisitions. I've ran it for high ticket software. I've ran it for any number of things, and it goes crazy. Doesn't this become a legal gray area? No, because you're marketing the contract, not the property. Very different. Have we reviewed acquisitions already? That's not the point of this call today. We're just going to be going over just dispositions in this one. Free access? No. Here, I'll type it out. CLOSED. Clarify. Pain. Sorry, no. Clarify why they're there. Label past pain. Label pain. Overview past pain. Sell the vacation. Explain away concerns. Determine next steps. Closed. So the first thing we're doing when we're talking to these buyers is we're trying to vet and qualify them. We want to understand who they are, what their business is, why they're interested, those sorts of things. So in my calls, what they're going to go like is something like, Mr. Buyer, are you very active in the area? You buy a lot of deals out here? And then they're going to start to give me a scope of what they do, how often they do it. And what I'm doing is I'm reading between the lines and understanding, is this person serious? Are they not serious? What are they interested in? What are they not interested in? And I'm trying to get a scope of if the deal that I have is something they usually are interested in. Then I'll be asking things like, what's the price point that you usually buy this at? So I'm going to get a determination on what they're wanting to offer on it out early. I'm asking, how many of these you usually get a month? Another thing I'm trying to get is, do you buy hard money or cash? Because a cash offer is always going to be more valuable than a similarly priced hard money offer. Because a hard money offer, that means that they're going to go out and they're probably going to need to get an appraisal and all these other extra steps. So in fact, there's a metric in the business that if you have to get a hard money lender involved with the buyer that you've never worked with before, your close rate on that deal drops down to about 50%. 50%. So when you think about it, your return on cash, even if your cash offer is lower, if your cash offer is lower, let's say it's, you get an offer that's $10,000 hard money, but $8,000 cash, take the $8,000 cash because that's significantly more likely to close. So then throughout this conversation, we're vetting them. And then what we also need to be doing is building urgency. So as you market this out, by the way, you want to get all the marketing out in one foul swoop. You want to get as much of it out as possible and get as many people reaching out to you as possible, because now you can play them against each other and say, Mr. Buyer, we have a lot of people reaching out about this right now. How quick can you move on your process to determine if this is something you're interested in? It's, hey, I'm on the phone for probably just the next hour on this. I've already got 3 soft offers. People are going to go walk the property already. I just need to know, is this something that you usually buy or not? We just can't waste much time on it. And the thing is that buyers really respect that type of mindset from you because they're business owners too. They like that really quick, sharp, I'm not wasting my time, I'm not wasting yours type of mentality. And that's very different from when you're doing acquisitions where you're going to be soft and hand holding. This is like buyers, you want to engage their competitive drive. When you think about the personality type of a buyer is somebody who is, they're a business owner, right? They're on the ball. They're sharp. They know what they want. They know what they like. They know how to get it. So you have to match that and get them to engage in those things, right? They're competitive. All buyers are inherently very competitive. So now how do we use that against them? Now, assuming that we don't get an offer sight unseen where somebody says, cool, just send me the contract, I'll get this signed right now. What you want to do is you're going to have a showing on the property. What you don't want to do is have a whole bunch of individual specific showings because that's hard to manage. And there's a lot of benefits to doing it as one big group showing. So what you do is you set a hard date and time. So let's say right now it's Thursday. Anybody I'm talking to, it's, hey, we're going to be doing a showing on this property tomorrow at 5 p.m. Can you make that? I don't know. Listen, Mr. Buyer, you were explaining to me before how hard it is to find a deal. This looks like it's a deal for you. We're doing the showing tomorrow at 5, and that's what we have to do because that's where everybody's going to be at. I think you should make the time for this. Now that buyer's, okay, yeah, cool. So now that we have the buyer going out there, what you want to do is with the conversation and all these buyers, now that you've qualified, vetted, you know that they're interested, you know what they want, what they like, you want to stack all of them onto the showing. Now what you have to do is whoever is in the property, whether it's the homeowner, tenants, whatever, you have to get them the fuck out of the property. If they're sitting inside the property, If they're sitting inside the property, they can do nothing but hurt. They will never, ever help the process, not once. So the way that I like to get them out of the property is I give them a gift card to go to dinner or to go to a movie or to go to Starbucks. Just give them something that is out of the way. It's, hey, we're having our financial partners walk the property tomorrow at 5, and I know what a hassle it is for you. So just to make it as easy as possible for you, Mr. Tenant, I gave you a $50 gift card here to Outback. Go and treat yourself and the wife to some dinner, and they're going to be done in probably 15, 30 minutes. It won't take long, but just step out for the hour, enjoy the evening, and just go take care of yourself. So once you do all that, the tenant is out of the property, you've stacked the showing. Now, guess what? The buyers all show up to the property at the same time, and that engages their competitive drive. Now, the final piece of this puzzle that you're communicating to these buyers is we're putting a hard timeline on the offer. The first person who offers at ask after the showing will be the default for who gets the contract. So now the buyers are in there and they know that they have a strict timeline. So they're going to show up there with anybody else they need to show up with to see it. And then once they see everybody else there, they're assuming everybody else wants to make an offer. They're going through, it's like, shit. Okay. And then bada bing, bada boom. The second the showing's done, it's, hey, as soon as 5:30 hits and the showing is done, whoever gives me that offer first is going to get it. And then what you do is now that you have the first offer in hand, you just have a stipulation that we're going to require non-refundable earnest money deposit into title within 24 hours. And if you can't do that, we'll move on to the next. Now, the non-refundable earnest money deposit is huge. Make sure that you get that and that there's no holes in your contract surrounding that $5,000 or $10,000. I recommend 10, minimum 5. But get this from your buyers. Also, one thing I would make sure you always have in your assignment agreements is that this is a non-assignable agreement because you don't want to deal with daisy chainers. This is something that's massive and can fuck a lot of wholesalers up is they assign the deal off to somebody who will then go and assign it. So just make sure that you communicate to them as well, because if you don't communicate it, then their assumption is that there's not any clause in the agreement about this. So make sure you have this added in that it says this is a non-assignable agreement. Have that clear as day. That way, that will prohibit any daisy chainers. And the second you mention that, it's like, hey, and just so you know, Mr. Buyer, our assignments are non-assignable. You would be the one who would have to take this and close on it. Is that clear? Yes? Cool. Simple as that. So now that we've done this, guess what? We've pretty much ran our process. We went and got excellent photos. We got it in front of all the right buyers. We went and communicated with the buyers, we qualified them, we had a really good conversation, we stacked the showing, we got them competitive, now we got the offer at or above ask. Just that simple. So, people, based on what I've said so far, what questions do we have? Mohammed says, so nationwide PPC leads are a hard sell. Ignore small cities. Yeah. On the marketing side, when people are starting to run their own marketing and they're hiring agencies, one of the metrics that they look at way too heavily is cost per lead. Cost per lead is more of that's a vanity metric for the health of your campaign. Let's say that you're averaged inside of a market at $100 and all of a sudden jumps to $150. That indicates there's something unhealthy about the campaign. We have to understand what happened, because usually that means some change happened. Either, one of your campaigns got disqualified, some of your keywords got disabled, and that's driving a higher cost per lead on a lower campaign, whatever that is. That is an indicator of health of the campaign. Now, it's going to be more expensive to run ads in higher price point markets. That's always going to be the case, but your success rate is going to be significantly higher and your average assignment fee is going to be significantly higher. So that's why you want to just focus those costs onto higher price point markets and not focus on what your cost per lead is, but what your cost per contract, and then your cost per it's going to be it's ROAS, return on ad spend. What's my realized revenue at the end of my marketing sales and sales cycle? Well, Mohammed, so you said, I imagine a ton of objections. Truthfully, no. They understand that, hey, this property is being bought. They're in the loop. It's being communicated to them. And the thing is, it's just, you have to be professional and clear on the phone with them, and that they know that you're somebody that you're knowable, likable, trustable. And then it's, hey, we're having financial partners walk it. And the way that you pose it is not that we want you out. It's that I know this is such a hassle to you that I'm going to do this benefit for you. That's just reframing it right there. Because then they're not thinking of it as suspicious, like, we'd really like you the fuck out of the house. It's more so from the frame of, I'm sorry that we're making you, having these people come through, and I know how much of a hassle. So we just want to, treat you and make sure that you feel well taken care of. is the 10,000 random or the top 20% of buyers in whatever market you're in, it'll default to the highest level buyers, Malik. Yeah, defaults to the best ones. Truthfully, JJ, when you're saying, how can I get access to plenty of cash buyers if I'm just starting out and I don't have enough capital? I would say JV, to be honest with you. John Johnson is a fantastic person to JV with, but that's what I would say. Yeah, find people to JV with. And what I was explaining before too is when you're looking at your time as a demand curve, where you only have so much time. So how do we get the highest return on it? As a beginner, your best use is maintaining the marketing and sales process. The second you try and take on too many things in your plate, it's like you want to be the master of few, not the okay at everything. So in this, don't try and do everything yourself because it's so much learning in each process along the way that you have to master. So just don't do that in the beginning. Eventually you want to do that, right? Because that cut you're going to be giving out for the JVs eventually is not going to make sense to you at a certain point. But as you're beginning, it's like, do I want 50% of $20,000 or do I want 100% of zero? Any way you can integrate InvestLift to Facebook? Yeah, we actually have a widget inside of InvestLift that's like you click it and it generates your Facebook listing for you. I'm embarrassed to say that I still get confused by DD versus EMD. Which acronym for DD are you thinking of here? There's a few. Are you saying, I think, due diligence? So due diligence, it's more of a very specific wholesale industry term. That is, it's basically the fucking same. I wouldn't worry about the difference. It's money that people are depositing. Now, the difference is due diligence is on the acquisition side. That's not something you're going to be doing on Dispo. Due diligence is going to be the non-refundable portion of the earnest money. So you can put up, let's say, $1,000 EMD, but it's only 100% or $100 is due diligence. The rest is technically refundable. So it's market by market specific. I don't use those in my wholesale operation. I just do earnest money. We can just afford to put it up. How can a new wholesaler set up a Dispo-oriented wholesale business? You got to have access to tools or skills that other people don't have access to. So you've either got to be better at Dispo and have a better process, or you got to have access to tools that people don't. So as a beginner, it sounds like you probably don't have either. So I would say, like, what would your value add be for people to come in and sell their deal with you? If you've never done it before, you don't know how to do it, and you don't have any tools or skill set to get it done better. Does that make sense? Team has said, is there a way to bulk post deals we have under contract in multiple Facebook groups at once? Not to my knowledge. I've never sold a deal on Facebook either, so I don't know. It's not something that I've done. I'm a licensed agent, so I have access to MLS and high-paying buyers. Yeah, so then the frame is just when you're putting it on the market, there's just going to be different regulations. So you just need on your if you're going to be doing, that's going to be considered an innovation. You just need attorney in fact inside of your purchase agreement, where then you now have the right to go and list it. So there's pros and cons of doing that. The regulatory standards is going to be one thing. The type of buyer is going to be a little bit different. So it works very well if you have a deal that takes it's like, it could be rent ready in its current state. But the MLS isn't always the best for doing big renovations or portfolios, or, you know, a lot of the standard wholesale deals. But it's, you know, out here in Phoenix, my buddy Richard Wonders, actually, I think I see him inside of this Discord. He's phenomenal innovations and just crushes selling deals on the MLS. Do you dispo land? So I'm a big believer in understanding your target and just going through for it. It's like that idea that I'm looping back to again is not everything that glitters is gold. I know my target and I go for it. So I personally, I don't do land, I don't do commercial, I don't do multifamily, I don't do anything that's out of my target range. I don't do creative deals, I don't do novations, I do single family cash transactions only. That's it. Because I can now stack my processes on that system right there. I don't have to build a separate process to go and dispo land. I don't have to go and build a separate process for auditing and evaluating commercial or multifamily. I want to be just the absolute master of one thing and be very efficient and effective at it. Jonathan, that's a good idea. That's actually something that's on the idea board right now. Yep, Jacob gets it. Do one thing and multiply it. Concentrate effort. Niche yourself in. Did you build your cash buyer list first, then do deals? And how did you obtain these cash buyers when you first started? So for me, I've always had access to this platform, InvestLift. I've even had JV partners that have done it. I guess that's as simple as it is. You know, it's the day and age that I got into wholesaling. I was always very process oriented, very systems oriented. Like I come from a software development background. I started to learn to code when I was 12. I built a big Roblox game in high school, and that's where I made a bunch of money in my initial years. So I've always been about what's the most efficient, effective way to do this. So then as I started, it was just, it's one of the first principles of entrepreneurship. It's the skill set already exists inside of the marketplace. The tools already exist inside of the marketplace. How do I leverage it to my benefit? I see a lot of people talking about learning every niche, mobile homes, commercial. Yeah, like think of it like Amazon. When Amazon started, they only sold books because they knew that books was something that were bought in all parts of the world. They knew that it was something that was logistically a fucking nightmare to handle. So they figured, cool, if we only do books, we learn the problems inside of this niche that are going to then be applicable to many other things. So eventually, once your organization gets to a certain size, it then would make sense to start incorporating other deal types in. But as you're building it, I just want to learn the issues inside of this one specific thing because now those lessons are learned. And I don't have to go and learn the same lessons across multiple different verticals. If you could do only one form of marketing, what would you focus all your attention on and why? Only would be inbound paid ads. That's it. Running PPC campaigns across, I guess if we're going to be niching it into just one specific type, I would just run Google search ads. But otherwise, we're going to consider like paid ads as a whole. I would run a blend of marketing across YouTube, Google, Meta, etc. Yeah, inbound paid for sure. Well, Jonathan, you can view a deal without creating an account. You just can't go through and get the address or look through all the photos. So you can get there. But at the end of the day, right, one of the biggest features in InvestLift is called Artemis mode, where it tracks all the activity the buyer has while looking at your deal itself. So that's much more valuable to get that person to go and register for the platform. And then now that we have their phone, email address, all SMS verified and stuff. Now, when they're going through and taking a look at your deal, you can just go in and see, John Johnson was looking at my deal, even if he never reached out to me about it. And I can just call up and say, hey, John, I saw you're looking at my deal. There it is. What's your opinion on motivatedleads.com? They sell excellent leads. The owner of Motivated Leads actually owns a really, really smart marketing company called Marketer Hire. He's a brilliant business owner. Most of the PPL, pay per lead services, they do a good job. The one thing that you just don't want to get into the mindset of is that it's going to be a home run every lead. That's going to be the biggest detriment to your success, where it's like, I'm going to go and get a lead and hope it'll be successful. No, it's a game of volume. You need to be getting a certain volume of leads in order for it to be successful. If you just get one and hope it's going to work out, you're not going to be successful. So the barrier of entry to getting into paid ads is you need a legit budget to start up with it. If you, in my opinion, cannot afford $3,000 a month minimum for at least 3 months for your paid advertising, you're not at that point where you can afford it yet. And you got to be doing the higher time cost, lower capital cost activities, such as cold calling and doing the cold calling yourself. Would you recommend inbound paid for beginners? No, because you have to learn your lessons, right? As you're having the conversations with sellers, you're gonna fuck it up. You're not gonna be good at the phone. It's just something that's gonna happen. So the best way to do that is by cold calling. Now that's also why I really despise mass SMS. First off, it's illegal, and there's been massive lawsuits. SMS text blast away. No, it's illegal. There's a guy that I know who just had to settle over $1 million lawsuit for mass SMS. It is going away. It is getting tougher and tougher. Your A2P brand approvals do not apply to text anybody you want just because you got approved. It is, I would personally stay away from it. And the other thing is too, when you're doing mass SMS, you're not building a skill set, okay? When you're doing cold calling and you're doing that work and you're doing the conversation stuff, you're now learning how to talk to people. And that's going to be much more valuable for later on. So don't think of it just as, it's going to take more time and I have to face more rejection and it's going to be harder. If you want to build a supreme race of humans and you're thinking of, okay, cool, what do I want them to be? I want them to be resilient. I want them to understand, what failure looks like. I want them to understand how to be successful, how to make money. I want to understand all these things. And you're thinking of, cool, how do I teach them? Would you rather have them do easy stuff throughout their life, or would you have them do the hard stuff throughout their life? You'd have them do the hard stuff because that's where the lessons are learned. So for me, cold calling, it's a benefit on multiple fronts where A, it's completely within regulatory standards that you can go and do it. And then secondly, you're building a really valuable skill set, which is the conversations. What's the best marketing strategy for an introvert? Shit, dude. Take a shot and make some calls. Here's the thing. I'm an introvert. I know I don't seem like it, but it's because I practiced. I put in the reps to be good at the extroversion. When you think of my natural tendencies, it is to just stay inside, do my own stuff, not go talk to people. I'm not a big party guy. I'm not a big go out and, that's not, it takes energy from me. The extroverts, they get fed from going and doing that. That's not me. But the only reason I'm excellent at it is because I made it an intentional effort to go out and do it. Like in high school, if you asked anybody from high school, I'm going to answer that question in a moment, Baldi. If you ask anybody that I went to high school with and said, yeah, Liam is good at talking to people. He talks on stages. He goes out to events and talks to random people all the time. He's a great conversationalist. He asks good questions. He does all these things. He runs companies. They would be like, fuck no, dude. Liam, he doesn't know how to talk to anybody. That guy's a weirdo. That's what I was. But I learned how to do it because I knew it was an intentional skill set that I had to, if I desired it, I needed to design it. I needed to make it happen. I needed to build it. So Dubaldi said, I called a whole list of 100 and no one picked up. Yeah, dude, that's not enough volume. 100 on you're talking a raw list, like with a triple line dialer, you should be making 100 calls in an hour and you should be calling for 8 hours a day. That's the type of volume. And through that, you should be maybe getting 3 to 5 leads. That's like saying, I went and did 100 push-ups and I don't have a six-pack. I don't have, a big chest. At the end of the day, volume will solve most all of your problems. Now, the thing is, too, is that you have to create leverage in your business. So as you're doing your cold calling, make the investment to go and get a multi-line dialer. Go and buy your data in bulk. That's why I really like kind skip tracing, which I know John recommends, because what they do is you just buy in bulk. You go and get 10,000 records for $300, so worth it. Then you just create a system to work through those 10,000 records. 10,000 records should last you probably 30 to 40,000 dials. Because when you call through that list, it's not like you just call them each one time and that's done, because a lot of people are busy. They're not going to answer the phone. Your phone number shows up as spam one time. Who knows what it is? So you call through, the way that I do it is if you take 10,000 records, you break them into blocks of 1,000, and then you call through each list of 1,000 3 times. Yeah, John's got an affiliate link. Get the man paid. Which 3-line dialer is worth it? I'm partial to one called justcall.io. I really, really like their system setup. But the thing is, it's a bit more of an enterprise level thing. I think the minimum seat count is you have to get at least 2 seats, and you need to have a non-Gmail email address in order to qualify for it. So you got to be at you can't just come in. You got to, have like an @mybusiness.com. Debaldi, I don't like Vulkan 7 that much because of the way you have to upload numbers into it. It's cool because of the data integrations you can get to it, but it's not my favorite. But any dialer is better than no dialer. On aisle, does it tell you how many times you viewed a listing, how many times you did? Not that I know of. Mojo dialer. Mojo, I'm also not a big fan of, and I've used it. I used it for probably about 7 or 8 months because of the same thing where you can't, unless they've changed since then, but you can't purchase numbers inside of it. You have to purchase numbers somewhere externally, and then you validate your numbers into the system by doing a verification, and then they just spoof your number. So your number is going to be marked as spam really quickly. Use services like Deal Machine that provide numbers already skip traced, or pay for services where you pay for each skip trace. Think about it in bulk. Like there's how do I do this in volume? Deal Machine is good because you can go and like drive for dollars, and you can build a unique niche list that way that other people don't have, because it's you physically driving around finding rundown properties and then adding them to the list. But if you just want to stay at home and make dials, and you just pull a list, skip trace it, boom. What's another good marketing besides cold calling? I mean, as a beginner, that's the only one I would do. Is Deal Machine good? The thing is that all the methods work. All of them do. Going and door knocking, it works. Going and putting signs on street corners works. The thing is that just stack your effort onto one. Stack all your effort onto one. Don't try and do 5 different marketing strategies. The thing is that you're going to have to do it at a much higher volume for a much longer period of time than you're probably willing to do. And that's the reason why of the 51 people inside of this call, 45 of them are not going to be successful wholesalers. Don't be those 45, because you have to be willing to outwork the rest, and you have to be willing to do more for longer. That's it. How do you do business in a market like Texas with it being a non-disclosure and high competition? So the non-disclosure just makes it more difficult to run comps, but as you get to understand the markets, you're just going to learn it better and better. It's the exact same thing for like, how do realtors run comps inside of Texas? It can be done. Just learn to do it. That's it. And then with it in high competition, outwork everybody else. Don't be afraid of competition. Like for me, I'm so confident that if there's any market in existence that I wanted to enter into, even if I didn't know that market, and even if I were worse than everybody else there, I would outwork them all. And so I'd be successful in it. But you got to understand is that the average person doesn't want to work very hard. Your competition isn't working very hard. If you want to be successful, you got to get up earlier. You got to start making dials earlier. You got to call later than them. You got to make more calls. Will you heavily recommend a triple line dialer? If you're doing cold calling, absolutely. Debaldi says, so we should be strictly targeting off market? Absolutely. My fucking God. This is one of the biggest, if there's anything I'm a hater of, it is agent outreach. God, do I hate agent outreach. You give up all leverage in the transaction. You got to work through an agent. You got to work, I fucking hate it. Do not ever do agent outreach, please, for the love of God. Yeah, it's like as an agent yourself, would you want to go list a property as when they have another listing agent, and you're just kind of like, that agent is communicating to you and then you're putting the listing out there? Like, it doesn't make any sense. What's the best marketing that converts the most? Inbound paid ads. Inbound paid ads. So when you're thinking about like the economics of scale, when you're scaling up cold calling, there's a lot more problems you have to solve. For paid ads, if you want more leads, you up your spend. It's that simple. Now, for cold calling, if you want to up your leads, you have to hire more callers. Eventually, now you need managers for callers. You need to go and figure out where you're going to get more data. You're going to skip trace more data. You need to have a better process for managing and accurately tagging and tracking that data. There's things that have to go into play for you to be efficient and effective at it. So eventually it gets to a point where it's just very difficult to scale that up. Jonathan says, going to work slowly onto inbound, but should we keep those outbound marketing channels anyway? Yeah, the thing, like what you should be thinking of, it's like, as you're integrating a new marketing channel into your business, you don't just want to give up and just do away with the old one. You're going to be slowly incorporating it in while maintaining the exact same volume, if not more. If you have to take away from your currently operating marketing channel in order to get a new one involved, then you're leaving yourself very exposed because now you're learning a new marketing channel. And the thing is that the sales process for inbound paid ads versus cold calling, it's a little bit different. So you're optimizing and adapting your processes to fit that as well. So there's a learning process that goes into it, and you're leaving yourself very risk heavy. Especially, I've seen people that they cut off their marketing channel completely and start a new one. What happens if it doesn't work out? What happens when you're not very good at it yet? What happens when all these other things happen? Now you're dead in the water. So somebody should say, should I learn how to cold call before hiring VAs? Yes, absolutely. Because the first thing is like, don't think of it as just trying to get out of the work. Think of it as you're building a skill set. It should be something that's exciting to you. You are exchanging your time for experience points. Think of it as a game. I think it'd be kind of fun to build a dashboard where you gamify your life, your experience points, and you're talking to people. When you think of that, think of it like if you guys have ever played Skyrim, okay? You have the, what's that one ability? It's like talking to people. Skyrim, talking ability, what's it called? Speech, the speech skill, okay? You want to think of it, you're maxing that out. You're building that. Now, also in tune with that is if you're hiring cold callers and you have no idea what metrics are reliable or reasonable for them to be hitting, they can just be going and fucking you over, and you have absolutely no idea what you're looking at. It's like you're going and reading in, Arabic when you don't speak it, You can look at it, you can read it, you can be, this looks good, this looks like Arabic, but maybe it's just a jumbled together mess of Arabic characters that doesn't mean anything. You have no way of knowing because you don't read the language. Are you guys adding the buyer analytics for the top dogs and the buyer side? Would love to know who's buying nationwide. No, for us, it's all about streamlining buyer efficiency in terms of how you guys are personally building your business around InvestLift and like finding deals on the platform. And so maybe there's a use case for like gamifying it, making competitive, but otherwise, low key get a bit of anxiety when calling. Yeah, dude, listen. Right now, if I were to pick up a phone and cold call, I would probably feel nervous on the first dial too. Then I get into my rhythm and I'm fine. But that happens. It's phone fear. It happens to, I personally have made over 100,000, probably over 200,000 dials. My triple line dialer going for 7-8 hours a day for like a year and a half. That's well over 1,000 dials a day. That's a lot of dials. I still probably get phone fear. Any thought on direct mail? Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, direct mail really works. I personally have never used it, but I know Tiffany and Josh High, who are absolute beasts in the space, are crushing it with direct mail. If I had $1,000, what marketing strategy would you do? Absolutely cold calling. I would go and spend $300 on data. I would go and spend $150 on a dialer, and I would call the fuck out of that list. What's a CRM you would recommend? Go high level. Absolutely. One thing that's important for you guys to also know is, what if you stutter? Practice. That's it. Either what you're going to say is you're committing that you're going to have a stutter all your life and you're just going to be that guy, or you're going to go and get better at it. You're going to practice. How are buyer scores calculated on InvestSwift? So it's going to be an accumulation of we're going to take all the public records for the deals that they've bought. That's going to be incorporated in, where I don't know exactly what the scoring is now per deal. I believe it's something like 1,000 per score or 1,000 per deal. Then when they buy deals on the platform, then they get marked as a VIP buyer, and that's going to add to their score. When they're going and interacting with properties on the platform, that adds to their score. That's it. Yeah, dude, Elon Musk, he fucking stutters, but look at him. I think that's something that you could just incorporate into your approach in life. It's like, yeah, you have a problem, but either you're just resigning to yourself that you're going to suck at it forever, or you're going to go and fix it. That's it. Should I spend 5K on PPC leads? Can you afford to lose 5K and not get it back? That's what you should be thinking of. If you can, absolutely. And realistically, if you're good on the phone, you should absolutely get a return from 5K on PPC. Yeah, like another question people have about cold calling, when you can tell that they're going to have a difficulty being successful, is they're asking questions like, what's the most effective time to call? Or what's the best time to call? Because that means their mindset is in, how do I get out of this and make it as easy as possible, versus just going out and doing the fucking work. Yeah, so what John is saying is true, is that when you're building a campaign out, there's going to be a time for that campaign to learn and understand what you're optimizing around. One thing I would definitely say is, don't try and start your own campaigns from scratch. If you're going to be running ad campaigns, hire a fucking agency. They exist for a reason. They have significant expertise in it. And if you're thinking of it from the perspective of, I'm saving costs by not doing it, no, you're losing money by not having the skill set that they do. So that's what I would think of from right there. What do you recommend to get a list to call? I personally, right now, would go to kind skip tracing, spend $300 on 10,000 records. Then what I would do is I'd plug it into Google Sheets. I would break it down into 10 groups of 1,000, and then each one I would dial 3 times. So that one group of 1,000, dial through it 3 times each. What agency do you recommend then? I really like the Bateman Collective. They're excellent, but they're not cheap. I don't really know any of the cheap providers or the more entry-level providers. I just haven't been in that space for a while in terms of the agency. So when calling a lead, I should call 3x, not just once and move on. So there's going to be a difference between a prospect and a lead. A prospect is somebody whose data you have and you assume that they are a lead. A lead is somebody who said that they're interested in getting an offer on their home. A prospect moves to a lead once they've shown that interest. Prospects, you shouldn't be triple dialing. Prospects, it's about volume of getting through as many calls as possible, and the systems aren't really set up to be doing triple dials on the leads. So what you want to do for that is, on this list, we break it down to groups of 1,000. We call through at one time. We're going to have people that answer, people that are, it's fake numbers. There's going to be people that, and of the people that answer, they're either going to be interested or not interested. Either way, we're filtering them out of the list. So then we call through. Now our list has 800 people in, and 600, and whatever. So then we call through that 3 times. That's how you're getting multiple dials and the people in there. Now, if you have leads, okay, you have somebody that is like an inbound paid ad campaign, absolutely, you should be triple dialing. I'm guessing absentee owners and high equity filters. To be honest, the difference between lists is going to be marginal. It's if you want to get the biggest lever you can pull, it's just making more dials. The lists are lists. Other people are calling them. Other people are talking to them. There's none that's going to be a magic box for you. Yeah, what's the difference between getting a list from the county you're marketing to versus pulling a list from Prop Batch or Deal Machine? Volume. It's just much harder to get a high volume of records from the county. Why do you do cash deals and creative deals? So I don't do creative deals just because of all the operational inefficiency that comes around them. There's a lot of issues that rolls up into doing those deals, and I just don't want to have to deal with it. I just want to know exactly what it's on, and that's it. When's Closer Olympics 2024, Maine? I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. I was involved in the 2023 Closers Olympics, but oh, thanks, Dennis. I appreciate you, man. So you don't drink the Pace Morby Kool-Aid? Here's the thing, right? It works. Creative finance undoubtedly works. But for me, I just don't want, it's all about operational inefficiency. Like I don't do land deals. Land deals work. I don't do commercial deals. Commercial deals work. I don't do multifamily. Multifamily works. I just want to stack all my efforts onto one opportunity because I get very excellent at it then. Bruce Lee said, I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times, not 10,000 kicks once. That's it. Yeah, if you're just doing your first deal, don't try and have these all these off or all these other deal types. It's not going to be worth your time. Should I call them from my personal phone? So if you are going to be doing like cold calling a list, go and get a triple line dialer, buy a couple of numbers for it, and then just go like that. When you're thinking of it like just from an efficiency standpoint, a triple line dialer automatically loads numbers in, calls them for you, and moves on to the next one. You can get through 100 calls in an hour versus if you're just typing, you got to look at your list. Where am I got to type it into my phone. Do. Ring, 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 ring. No. Okay, next. It's going to take you 30 seconds per phone number versus like 10 or like 5, and you're doing 3 at once. A good triple line dialer, it costs like $120 a month. If you can't afford that, go pick up some shifts at McDonald's. Like that's the truth right there. Can you buy numbers from Mojo? I haven't used it in years. When I did use it, you could not. What VA company do you recommend? I don't recommend any VA companies. I'm all about I'd rather hire A players and only operate with A players rather than hiring cheap talent elsewhere. Like a really good A player will perform as good as 10 C players. So I'd rather just have one person have to manage one and know that they're doing excellent, phenomenal work. That's it. All I hear is grind hard, work harder. Pretty much. What if my local market is very competitive for noob to enter, such as SoCal? Work harder than everybody else. John, I forgot how much I love talking about this shit. I don't get to do this very often nowadays. What about Fizbo? Oh God, no. Yeah, Fizbo. Listen, so when I started in real estate, I got my license when I was 18, and then I started an agency for realtors where we were just setting appointments for them. They would go and get the deal under contract, and we would get a referral fee. One of our lead channels was Fizbo, but the way that we would do it was from a value add perspective, where we would call them up and say, "Hey, you probably have spoken to about 1 billion realtors, right? Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not going to try and sell you on selling with me. What I have for you is a free step-by-step guide for how to sell your house as a Fizbo. And it's free. Can I send it to you? Yes? Cool. What do I get about it? What do I get out of it? Easy. If you decide that you don't want to do the process or it's not working, you're going to trust me and want to sell with me. That's it. But otherwise, I would personally stay away from Fizbo. I didn't hear what you recommend to find high quality cash buyers. I mean, the name of the game is Investor Lift. That's where everybody who's doing any volume of deals, are they selling their deals on Investor Lift? Liam, good pay-per-lead companies. I like LeadZolo right now. They run YouTube ads and they're fucking effective at it. What's your schedule like? I love my schedule because it's a little bit different every day. I've got my routines in terms of like the blocks that I have throughout my day and the projects that I'm working on, but it's in the roles that I'm in now. It's just problem solving all day, and then it's just what sector of the business am I solving problems on right now? What's LeadZolo's prices? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Yeah, John, YouTube ads convert, man. They're very low cost per lead in term in consideration to other ad types, and they're very high quality. Is a mentor worth paying for in this business? Yeah, but the thing that you got to approach mentors from is this idea that one's going to be a silver bullet for you. It's not going to work like that. You're going to be an amalgamation of a bunch of different mentors and input from here and input from there and understanding this is going to work for me, this piece of advice is not. And you intake it and you put it all in. So as long as you come at it from a playful mindset like that, where I'm coming to learn specific skills from this person, yes. If you're looking for somebody to just come and give you the entire bag, maybe in an instance where it's like you're able to go and like shadow a very effective wholesaler and just be like their personal assistant and just learn exactly what they do, why they do it, how they do it, then there's something like that. But in terms of like going and buying courses, there's a lot that get you off the ground, but as a beginner, the main thing you can do is just go and put in the fucking effort. If you know you're the type of person who needs to be held accountable and that's something that you really thrive in, then absolutely, yeah, go and get a mentor. Ever tried motivated leads? Motivated leads is excellent too, really excellent as well. One of the things that should not be overlooked, though, is inside of your sales process, a follow-up process. So breaking down the most effective wholesale model in existence right now, it's Open Door. Why are they so effective? Because of the way they design their sales and follow-up process. When they get somebody into their pipeline, the first thing they do is they give them an automatic offer, and that automatic offer is like an estimated thing. And that drives them to the next step, which is going to be a virtual showing of the property where the seller walks through with their phone in hand and just videotapes their property. Now, the beautiful thing about that right there is what they do then is they now have it's like a 24 to 48 hour turnaround time to get that thing booked. And then there's going to be a turnaround time to actually get that finalized offer. So what ends up happening is they know that that person has gone and filled out 3, 4, 5 forms. They're going to have a bunch of different people going and reaching out to them, but they string them out long enough that it disqualifies all the other wholesalers because the wholesalers have no follow-up process engaged whatsoever. So then they're going to be the only one at the finish line. It's like, you don't even have to be the best if you're the only one at the finish line. They get that person strung out long enough. They turn down other offers saying, I'm going to wait for my Open Door offer. And then that wholesaler will never reach back out to them again. And then they're good to go. So even as a realtor, I should target expired and off market. Yeah, absolutely. Keem said, I'm going to put some in Facebook ads with Trevor. Just need a green light for my partner. 750 to 1,000 a month. That's not enough. That's not enough. If that's all you can afford right now, you got to focus your time into outbound. My recommendation is that if you cannot commit minimum 3,000 a month on the paid ads, there's just better channels for you to put your time into at this point. Has circle prospecting done any justice for you? No, I never ran that. Are there better states to wholesale than others? Oh yeah, absolutely. Southeast is nuts. Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas is excellent. North Carolina. Yeah. Would you consider it luck if you close deals at 25 to 50 per day? Well, the thing is AB, it's going to be a volume thing right there, where at 25 to $50 a day, you're going to be getting like a lead a day. And sometimes not even a lead a day. So it's over enough time eventually, yes. But yeah. What software should I use to text blast? No software. Don't text blast. I hate text blasting. It's not legal. You open yourself up. Like just for some clarity here, people, if you're just pulling a list, you get their phone numbers and you text blast to them, you are now signing yourself up for the liability of $500 to $1,500 fines for every single text you send. Your only outbound was cold calling? I did do text blasting before the regulations got so tough initially, but I got rid of it very quickly once I saw the turning tides. And also, by the way, guys, I'm not a realtor anymore. I don't hold my license anymore. I don't do anything on market. That was just how I got my start in the industry. Like here, thank you, Mr. John. Do I regret it? Regret what specifically? Why did you turn away from being a realtor? I just don't like dealing with on-market transactions. Much prefer to do off-market stuff. And so eventually just got to a point where I just had no use for my license and all the CE, the continuing education, all that stuff for getting a license. I mean, it got me into the space, you know, it was, I got it out of, I needed an entry point into the space and that seemed like the spot to get in. And so I got in doing that. Very quickly realized I did not like being a realtor myself, which is why I adapted into an agency where I found I was really good at the lead generation, getting the appointments and all that stuff. I just hated dealing with the clients themselves. So I thought, cool, let's leverage my time into just doing that, have other agents do the work of dealing with the clients. Then how I got into wholesaling was I built up this massive pipeline of deals for agents, and there were just too many opportunities that were perfect for wholesale. So once I understood that model, then it was like, oh shit, I got to just start adapting this into my pipeline. Liam, how much are you making a month? I make about $1,000 a month. Might sound like a dumb question, but I'm curious, what game did you make on Roblox? It's called Strucid. It was a ripoff of Fortnite. That's crazy. You guys used to play that? That's nuts. It was fun. The community sucked, though. Fun story time. There are diss tracks about me in the Roblox space. How do you go about choosing your markets? Where are the buyers? That's where I'm going to go. Pretty much that simple. You know, it's interesting. Inside of the real estate space, there's actually a large overlap of like the entrepreneurial people inside of that specific niche of gaming, the Roblox and Minecraft space. For whatever reason, I've met like hundreds of people that were really involved in that space that have, you know, they're just entrepreneurial and this was just their bigger opportunity field. Yeah, Minecraft music is pretty nice. But Big Play J, for example, here I'll show you. Give me an address of a property that you're looking at. I'll show you guys here on InvestLift how I vet a market out. Somebody just give me an ad. All right, there we go. I'm gonna share my screen here. Okay. So look, I'm gonna come here. I'll just plug this address in, and this is just God mode on InvestLift. And now we can see what's going on here. So in terms of flips, 24 properties, 24 unique buyers. It's, looking at this, 2021, 20. Not loving this market. All right, let's see about buy and hold perhaps. 29 unique buyers. This is a maybe. We go out a little bit wider here. Oh, we must have hit some big market. Hang on, let me go. Huh. Yeah, I'd do this. 97 unique buyers, 100 properties, average purchase price, average sale price. Wow. This is a high price. Yep. Okay. This is a high price point market. Yeah. I'd do this. Keem gave me an address. Let's see. Oh, my bad. I stopped sharing my screen. Hang on. What the fuck? Yeah, so we got 4 deals out here in the middle of the Atlantic. Love it, dude. Flips on this. I mean, yeah, if you're doing a wholesale, this is probably a lower price point market that we're looking at here. We got 2 Walmarts. Nah, I wouldn't do this one. I'll look up that one there, Mr. Big Play J. If we're looking at Pompano Beach, Florida, I can already tell. Yeah, that's an absolute yes. Here's the difference, right? Here's the difference between an excellent market. Look at this. Check that out. 402 unique buyers. Boom, boom. 126K average profit. Perfect. And even if we remove iBuyers from this, look at that. We got a ton of buyers. This is where you want to be. How easy is it if you get a deal under contract here? That will be sold in an hour. What's the worst marketing strategy to do? Mass SMS or agent outreach. What portal are you using? Felicia, that's InvestorLift right there. So, when I'm looking at it, it's like, would I focus my efforts into getting deals just in Pompano Beach and really get good at doing deals in Pompano Beach? Or would I want to go to some rural market where I might or might not, it's easier to get a deal under contract because nobody's really interested in it. 60 to 65% the new 70%? Depends on the market, depends on the type of deal, Hard to say. The rules are just a rule of thumb. It's not quite the same. Tough to say. It's much more market dependent. People, I got to take a piss. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. What are the top piece of advice you recall from your time wholesaling from beginning to end? Niche in, outwork everybody else. Don't be afraid of failure. Embrace failure. Figure out how to provide value to others. If there's any reason that I am where I am today, it's because I've been very diligent and I've become very effective at figuring out how to provide value to others. You know, this is something, I see comments on Instagram for people talking to other people and they say things like, I will work for you for free if you mentor me. It's not a good ask. What you're asking them to do is pour their time into you, which anybody who's built something worth anything, they know that their time is their most valuable resource. That's what they have to give right there, right? Their time. That's their most valuable asset to them. You're asking them to spend their most valuable asset on you for nothing in return, essentially, right? The way you want to approach providing value is, what do you need and how can I provide it to you? So one thing you got to understand too is that if you're level 1, you can't really provide somebody who's level 10 value. You got to have something of value to provide them. So you got to find somebody who is one level above you and provide value to them. And then they will drag you up by default. And then you provide value one level above and above and above and above. So, when I started in this space, I knew nobody in anything, but I had a skill set in sales, I had a skill set in marketing. And so I figured, cool, let me go and provide value to the marketplace in this way. Let me go and do that. Let me give people advice for free. Let me hop on calls like this. This is something that I will never take time for doing stuff like this off my plate, because this is where the true impact is made. This is where the value is provided. Because now it's, let's say down the line and, I have some really cool project I want to get you guys involved in. Now you guys know, like, and trust me already, and just by default, that trust is there. So that's what you got to go and do, and then you move yourself up the chain like that, figuring out who you can provide value to, provide it. Who can I provide value to? Provide it. The entire basis for this Discord is based on that principle alone. John, I remember him and I were on the phone. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago now, and this is when REI Rev was just starting out, probably under 1,000 people inside of there, and the entire thing was, John was like, I don't know shit about real estate. I don't know shit about wholesaling, but I'm great at building community. So let me go and build a community. And now when you look on the right-hand side and you see the names of the people that are inside the server, they're huge. You have Brent Daniels over there. John has been very diligent in providing value to Brent by pushing his audience to his and getting him involved. And he's had huge names inside of this Discord just on that basis alone right there. So that's how John came and provided value to the marketplace. And now he's in connection with huge names in the space. You see how he went and provided value? And so that's the same thing for me. And then it's now all of a sudden I find myself in Puerto Rico one month and I'm talking with Jerry Norton at his mansion in Puerto Rico. I have phone numbers of people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars in my phone. The apartment right across the hall from me is a man worth probably about $250 million. How can I provide value when you don't have value to provide? You build value. You build a skill set. You build something worth offering to people. And that's where you got to put your time and effort into building a skill set. $250 million. Yeah, $250 million. With a B. I said an M. That's with a B. There's a guy worth $250,000 over there. You'll have never seen bands like that before. How can you afford that with 1K a month? Oh, I don't. I'm in debt. No, I make a little bit more than 1K a month. What skill sets do you see agents not have that can be crucial when providing value? So as an agent, right, they don't understand that it's marketing and sales business. They think I just want to, oh, that's the joke. Fuck. All right. I thought he didn't get the joke. I was the one who didn't get the joke. All right. They don't understand it's marketing and sales. You have your lead gen and you have your lead conversion. And they think, it's like, I see people like, I saw this video the other day of this realtor who was like getting all pissy that her friend didn't list with her. And she's like, when your friend knows that the income could have changed my life and they still chose not to work with me. Yeah, because you're a shit realtor. Obviously, they don't want to work with you. They have an expensive home. They want to work with somebody that actually knows how to do the job. Just because don't feel obligated to do it, and so they just depend on referrals and doing this. It's if you want to get deals, go out and hunt them the fuck down. Go generate leads and go and generate leads, and then go and convert them into appointments. Convert the appointments into contracts. Marketing and sales. Jerry and Anne Marie are kind people. Oh, so nice. I don't know how she does it. They have like 11 kids. Managing that, I'm crazy. And they're going between, they get this beautiful compound in Wyoming, and then, they're flying everybody across the country all the time. I don't know how they do it, but they do. Jerry Norton, yeah, 10 kids, yeah, ton of them. Crazy goals. I don't want 10 kids. Not for me. A lot of that time too, agents are struggling to understand the nuance of transactions. Yep. Montana. That's right. Not Wyoming. I've never been to the Montana property. I know Pace does. Pace, I think, bought his own thing up there now. He brings people out there pretty regularly. Really smart way to build community. Just kind of build a whole community up there. Have you ever heard of Manny Koshman? I have, yeah. Rogue, JV was somebody who does. I mean, when you're looking at the top level people, there are dozens of people that have access to the highest level, which is $50,000 a year minimum. That's not including usage costs on the platform. Like, they're doing deals, JV with them. There's people that have very well set up, well regulated, and excellent Dispo pipelines that they feed a huge portion of their business off of JVing deals, and that's how they run it. Well, thanks for stopping by, Mr. Paul. Appreciate you. Yeah, the thing that I can say time and time again, it's like, would you rather have 50% of 20,000 or 100% of $0? Don't be afraid to go and JV. And the thing is too, it's like, if you want to figure out how to provide value to people, go and get them a deal. Say, hey, I want to work with you on this. I want to build a relationship. Where can I send my deals? I don't know exactly who the best people are right now to send JV deals to. Yeah. Should realtors hire a marketing agency for their listings? I don't have a vast knowledge on marketing. I don't want to go in blind and say I can market when I have little knowledge. For your deals, it's a very similar process like Dispo. What you do is, go and pay to get excellent, high quality photos done. And then what you do is it's something called dusk editing. Any of the really good services that do that, or that do pictures, they do dusk editing, and what they do is they make the pictures look like it's at nighttime, romanticize it. They put like a dark cloud or dark bright night sky. They make the lights brighter. They just make the property look really sexy. Then what you want to do is when you put the market or put the deal on the market, you want to underprice it a little bit, because the way that all the buyers agents have their people set up on searches. They get an email about a new property. They open it up. They see the picture. It's beautiful. They click on it. It goes to the page, and it's all run in the system called IDX. And so IDX, it will rank the deals on great deal, okay deal, bad deal. And so what you want to do, you underprice it just a little bit so it comes across and says good or great deal. Now they're emotionally invested. They say, holy shit, this is a beautiful property. It's a good deal. Then what you do on the showing side is you have a consolidated short showing window to where, let's say you bring it to coming available on a Thursday. You have a week of the pre-marketing where it's coming available. You bring it available on a Thursday. And now throughout that week, you want people to be booking showings. What you do is then you have showings on Friday and Saturday. You give it a concise time frame where there's only so many slots available. You turn the showing period down to the shortest amount of time possible, 15 minutes. Then within that window, what happens is it takes more than 15 minutes to show a home. So then what happens is all the buyers or all the agents and their buyers, or the buyers and their agents, are at the property, and you create this traffic jam of people entering and exiting the property. That gets them emotionally invested. And then what you do is have a strict timeline, which is highest and best due Saturday at 5 p.m. Boom. How do you know if you're talking to a legit buyer on Facebook? Well, the same process as before. Get them on the phone, and then you just go through the vetting questions. Yeah, thank you for swinging by. I had to get my food ordered, people. Are you an agent or a wholesaler? I was an agent, no longer an agent. I was an agent for my first year in the business. Oh yeah, I actually dropped another episode somewhat recently about Dispo. Do you have a guide of the questions asked the buyers? I don't. I should probably put one together. When you're talking about underpricing your deals, I'm talking, that's MLS. It's like I'm ordering my food, people. Now I'm just getting Wendy's. Y'all already know. Steve wasn't even close. Gotta support the sister. That's pretty good. Where are you at in the world, Liam? Your backdrop looks amazing. This is the Kierland Optima in Scottsdale. Let me try and see if I can. Mountains over there. Yeah, man, this place is stunning, stunning. One, I think the biggest level ups in my life is just being, proximity is power. So up until earlier this year, I was living out in Minnesota, and I was like, this is fine, cheap cost of living, all that stuff. But it was scarcity mindset where it's like, okay, I can come out and the cost out here, I mean, compared to, so in Minnesota, my apartment out there was beautiful, downtown, penthouse. It was just gorgeous. I love that apartment in a historic building, and just my favorite place. I had a big 2-bedroom, and that was only about $3,500-ish a month. Now I move out here, the apartment out here is double that pretty much, and it's smaller. It's a 1-bedroom, but being closer to everybody else is so worth it. So worth it, because it's everybody here. There's a barrier of entry just based on price alone. It's an expensive place to live. That means everybody here is doing something or has done something pretty cool. So many people to network with. Thank you, Donnell. I appreciate you, man. How do you think money has changed your mindset? For me, I've never been particularly money motivated. Like, I've always been a very principle oriented person. I would never fuck somebody over for money. It's like relationships are more important. I'm always about just do the right thing. Money comes, money goes. In having more of it, it's understanding exactly how much of it is truly out there. And there's way more than you ever imagined. There's a lot of money out there. Like, this is a multi-billion-dollar complex. There's billions of dollars beneath my feet. And then in the surrounding area, there's billions of more dollars everywhere. There's so much money everywhere. So that once you understand that changes your mindset. And then 2, it's in running businesses and operating them through and through. You just begin to understand money is not so much as it changes it away from like a necessity and how much do I have and what are my expenses. And those are still things, but it's much more of a tool. And okay, where are we putting this? How are we leveraging it? What's my return? And it's much more just a function of a tool rather than like something I'm just scrapping for every day. That's how I'd say, it's changed my life, or changed my perspective on it. I would say like money hasn't changed my life. My skill set has, absolutely. It's something that like I'm always willing to do away with money in building my skill set. I'm always willing to do away with it in terms of building learning opportunities. I'm willing to spend it to build relationships. I'm willing to, I'd much rather be the guy who is willing to cover costs for other people, pay for the dinner, do that stuff, be generous with it, than hoard it for myself. I'm sure my accountant doesn't think the same, but oh well. Take the accountant out to dinner. Okay, there it is. And when you begin to look at like the top level people inside of any industry, they're very much the same way, where it's money's a tool. There are always going to be greedy people and people who are very protective of that, but they end up having a limit, because what ends up happening is the true thing that will create leverage for you in your future, your connections, your relationships, and your skill set. And when they're so focused on just being, mine, take, what can I get for myself? Then it ends up being this like, think of it as like this hidden multiplier in the background. The more you give, the bigger your multiplier grows. And then eventually, when the opportunities arise, it pays off again and again and again. That's where the real gains are had, And when you're the opposite of that, that multiplier goes down and down and down. So while you might be getting cash rich, you have no connections, you have no resources besides your money. And can you be effective at that? Yes, but viewing it as a tool and something to be used and utilized is the way that I would go at it. Yeah, my first deal was this lady in, I believe it was Idaho, and her situation was she'd just gotten in a divorce, and all the judgment had been finalized. She retained ownership of the property, but half the proceeds went to her husband, and she had remarried pretty much immediately to a rich guy. And she's like, I don't need the money. I'm just kind of looking to fuck over my husband because I don't want him. He cheated on me, or my ex, because he cheated on me, and he gets half the proceeds from the sale. So I'm just willing to get this thing sold, get this thing moved, and so that was a deal, easy peasy. As far as the emotions behind it, I wouldn't say there were many. It was a transaction. It was for me. It was all about the learning, and so I JV'd it with a guy, Sam Singh. He's in Sub 2. I'm sure any of you guys in Sub 2 know him. And it was excellent first deal. What are ways to get good at my market? Time, effort, and diligence. I think a perfect example is inside of Arizona, there's a guy, Zach Keeps, and he has a little under 300 single family residential properties that he personally owns, and he's done thousands of transactions now. And the way that he's gotten so excellent at it is because he just focuses on very niche market. He just does Phoenix Valley, 3-bed, 2 baths. That's his market. That's his pocket right there. And so he buys pretty much anyone that comes available to him. Now his cash flow off of the rentals are so significant that he can pretty much buy something with only about 10-15% leverage, because it's like 300 rentals, and the average price point here is about $400,000. That's fucking a lot of cash flow. Should I have like 3 virtual markets? I mean, if you're just starting out, I would just start in 1 virtual market and expand there. How do you give an offer to a seller if the house is in decent condition? So, I mean, what you're going to be doing inside of your offer is you're going to be discounting what the renovation costs are going to be inside of it. So that means it's just a different renovation cost. Otherwise, in terms of like how you're doing it, the exact same way. I think I've got about 7 minutes left with you guys, and I got to wrap some things up on my end, and then one thing. Here's another example of me elevating my skill set in life. Is I realize that women like guys who know how to dance, so I take tango lessons now, tango and swing dancing. So I prepaid for like $10,000 worth of lessons, so I got to make those. Look at that. Sebastian's got it down. Yeah, dude, 10K into dancing. It's like exchange money for skills. Yeah, thank you guys have had good questions. This is a fun one. Does anybody remember who it was? Somebody mentioned, I think they also live here. They said that we should link up. They knew I was at the Optima. I'm trying to look through my friend requests here. I'm not seeing them. Oh, I found it. Mr. John is back up.
W stream.
This is a fun one, man.
Glad to see you, man.
This is why I love REI Rev. No, it's been like probably the last time I had a just talking shit about business like this was the last time I went live in REI Rev.
Yeah.
Been missing it. You guys have been excellent. You guys have really good questions. Damn. This is a really good group.
100%. Well, we appreciate you, Liam, for coming and joining us and sharing, what's going on in your business and giving some key pointers. One of the things that I've been kind of dialing in on my side has just been with my website. I have been adjusting, the call to action that people see. Like you said, people don't really care about the big details. They're looking for stuff that's right in front of them, call to action. What do they need to do? How should they be navigating, filling out this lead form? And one thing that I'm going to revisit is the second hook, right? Got that first hook and then the second hook. So I'll share with you all, how that's going, right? The adjustments that I made previously is generating some results. So I'm excited.
After this, let's hop in the penthouse. Send me the link and I'll audit it for you.
Let's get it.
Sick.
All right,
RO people. So much love to you guys. You do it. This is your community. Let's hear you.
This is the #1 most valuable real estate community in existence. If you haven't already, you need to invite somebody you think would benefit from being in proximity with us. Send them that link, reirev.com. If you haven't already, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can go to youtube.com/@REI Revolution. Make sure that you're subscribed. Liam, how can people get in touch with you and stay connected?
At Liam B Closing on Instagram. That's it.
There you go.
There it is. Love it.